My thoughts on the LWRC season so far, the inaugural season. I remember in the middle of summer, I would always wake up on the morning of the Bunch of Lawn Care series, and I'd always watch LWRC broadcasts. And I was like, well, this seems like a pretty fun league. I remember watching Sonoma specifically, and the finish of that race was just so good. So I remember a few months ago, I finally decided to make my debut at Charlotte, and I actually won. And I was like, all right, so I might be a contender for the championship. So I definitely thought I'd have some success, and I didn't really think I'd make it this far. But it's definitely been a fun season. So whatever happens tonight, I'll be happy. And the playoffs, the most challenging part for me, nothing's really been super challenging for me, but definitely advancing, like making sure I advance, trying to lock myself in the next round, like winning and having just such talented drivers such as like Cole Williams and Aiden Kirker. Definitely didn't make it easy, but luckily we were able to win at like the Roval and like Phoenix a few weeks ago to lock me into the championship for which is going to be tonight. Definitely helped me advance. So definitely not really the most challenging thing I've had to face, but definitely a little bit hard. So I don't know. It hasn't really been that challenging, like I said, but yeah. And my thoughts on Homestead. The deciding factor is probably going to be pit strategy, just what we've seen over the past few races, because we've had pretty long runs, like I said, and we might catch a caution, which might mess it up. I know Cole and Aiden are pretty good on pit strategy too, so I haven't really practiced that. So I think I have a good idea of what's going to happen. So we'll see tonight. I'm pretty sure it's going to be pit strategy because we haven't really had that big of a field, and with it being Homestead, it's a pretty easy track. And championship drivers, I'm going to be keeping on an eye on tonight. Definitely Cole Williams and Aiden Kirker. They're going to be super fast. I know Cole's really good at saving tires, so I've been practicing saving tires, and I've definitely gotten better at it. So if it goes green, I'll definitely have my eye on Cole because he's really good at saving tires, and he's pretty good with pit strategy too. So there'll definitely be a challenge tonight with Cole Williams and Aiden Kirker. So I'll be looking forward to that. And the key for me winning the championship tonight, like I said before, I think pit strategy is going to be the key. Just because, like I said, the small field and it being Homestead is just such an easy track that it might go green the whole way. So if we play the strategy right, even if we do get a caution, just choosing the right times to pit and keeping myself up front, saving my tires, and keeping an eye out for the other Final Four drivers. It's definitely going to be challenging, but I think we have the car to do it tonight.
Well, I think that the season has been pretty exciting, I'd say. Of course, we've had some pretty exciting races. I think that towards the end of the season, it got really competitive between Cole, Parker, myself, Brady, Basin. Blaze was in there for a while. Michael Kenner, a lot of fast guys. And I think that it definitely ran pretty long with I think it's 27 race schedule. But I've had a lot of fun. It's bittersweet that today's the final race, but hopefully we can end it on a high note and have a strong run next season. There's been so many. So I think that the most challenging part about these playoffs has just been trying to stay consistent. Like you can't slip up and have a bad race because you got to carry momentum to every single race. So I think that we've done a pretty good job of having strong runs from Darlington until now. But I think Bristol was pretty tough. The Roval was pretty tough. Just we got to keep our heads up and really stay focused and consistent, and we can't let up, especially not today. This has to be the most, this is the most pressure that we're going to be under today, especially for the four of us. I think that it's just trying to carry as much momentum as we can to this race, and I think we've done a strong job of that. And then Homestead is it's a really good. I feel like it's a very fitting championship race. Just that atmosphere of Miami, the blue walls, and as the championship race goes into the night, I think that it's iconic for crowning a champion there. So I'm super excited that we get to run our championship race here. I think it will also produce a really good racing. It's just a fun track to drive as well. So there's no other track I'd want to end the season on. A championship driver I'd probably focus on is Parker White, because he showed up probably about halfway through the season and he won his way into the championship or the playoffs. And I think that obviously he's a front runner every single week. He's definitely he's coming off 2 in a row at Phoenix and Bristol, so he's definitely going to be deadly today, as well as Cole Williams. Those are kind of the out of the other 3, I think I'm most scared about those 2. But I think that for us to win tonight, we just got to be good on the long runs, because I feel like the Homestead's a track that always goes into these long tire saving stretches. I don't know if we have to make a pit stop or not tonight, but I know that just saving our stuff, not overdriving the car, we got to save it for lap 85, not lap 5. And hopefully it doesn't become a caution fest. Hopefully we can get a good long run in, multiple long runs in. But yeah, just really saving the car.
Okay, so my thoughts on the first LWRC Cup Series season. I think it's been a wild ride for me, at least, because Daytona, first race, I ran on a laptop, and then even back then I didn't even have Las Vegas yet. There's just so many memories that I have from the season. It's been crazy. My first league win at Talladega. I've won all the exhibition races, the first duel and the All Star race. I don't know. It's just crazy to me, at least, to think that we're already in November and this started on Memorial Day. Um, I'm, and I made it farther than where I thought I was going to be. I thought I was gonna make the round of 8 and then not make the round of 4, but I'm in the round of 4 somehow. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. Um, the most challenging part about the playoffs was about advancing, because at that end of round of 1, I think Charlotte Roval. I thought it was gonna be a battle between me and Josh, and it was just basically us both advancing, and I think it was great. And then Bristol was a very big race. It was crazy because I got involved in that wreck. I used the brakes and everything, try to avoid Aiden. Slammed right into the back of him. I didn't have a fast repair left. And, it was just crazy. And we still made it. I think I edged him out by 1 point. So it was crazy. So for this question, I think the package is going to be the deciding factor, because it's going to be so hard to pass. And iRacing, at least, there's only really one line that you can run. It's not like real life where you can run the wall and get a run off the corner. It's going to be difficult to pass, I think. And for me, at least, I'm going to be probably in the back for most of this race. And yeah. I think all the drivers are going to be a challenge, because I'm kind of the underdog coming into this Final Four, and if I can win this somehow, I think it would be great. Seeing it's my first year on iRacing and everything, I think it would be pretty cool. The key for me to win the championship is to save my tires, and this track sometimes can be difficult, at least like I said before, to pass, and just trying to save my tires, I think that would be the best bet for me.
I think that this inaugural season's been, actually has a lot of up and downs. At the start, we were, you know, not even thinking we were going to get all the way to probably this point. If we thought we were going to get there, it was far fetched. It was going to be a long shot to even find our way to Homestead, Miami. But we got here. Um, it's been a lot of fun. I feel like I've gotten way better driving. Gotten myself, the best driving shape I've ever had. I started off joined, it was like a 1.5K, kind of just really never done much league racing besides like work or something before. I just joined Ice Car and then I saw this in there, I believe, as one of the invites, so I joined. And I feel like, there was a battle with Blaze at Phoenix. There was, of course, all the battles with Aiden. You could think of numerous races with Parker and Brady, of course. And all the guys that raced here throughout the time. It was definitely fun, and I feel like we've definitely come a long way. Um, Many moments trying to these playoffs. I would say definitely the win at Richmond. That was the most. That's probably the best moment. Kansas. I kind of feel like that was wrapped up. Like I was leading by 2 seconds, and even still after Michael Kenner getting in the way, I was still leading by a good bit. But nonetheless, so both the wins have been big for sure. And I feel like the most challenging part has been just making sure you make the races, of course, and then um, to me, with all these playoff points I've carried from winning the championship or the regular season championship from showing up every race pretty much, and winning what 3 or 4 times in the regular season, that just making sure you show up, and then worrying about people like Josh Duke, we're trying to get into the playoffs. Of course, he came just barely short at Bristol for of course winning and getting in. But I feel like overall it hasn't been too stressful. I had a lot of fun, and I feel like the Kansas win made things a bit easier. But at the end of the day, when no one showed up to Phoenix, I basically locked um, people like Parker and then Aiden, of course Brady and Josh into the fight at least, because they're the only 5 people that showed up to all the races, which ironically are since Parker joined, are the people that have made like every race. So um, that's definitely um, the most challenging part for sure. Homestead, definitely, yeah. I feel like this race, it'll be whoever can probably save the tires and be like keep their track position. That'll be big because passing this track, although it will work, it is not the easiest thing. Of course, you can't really work the high side, unfortunately. You can run the bottom, like you can run where it's 18 degrees of banking at the very bottom, only to pass slow. You don't want to be working that kind of line when you're, of course, just riding by yourself, either leading or just kind of in the pack. Um, it'll be interesting to see kind of what matters more, track position or tire savings or whoever has the raw speed. This track is a decent bit of skill given that you have to like lift, and at some points once you get to a long run, especially with 100% fuel fill here, we'll have probably if it goes green, we'll probably at least go 45 or so laps on fuel. It'll be like braking as well, so it'll be fun for sure. I love this track. Of course, you love this track too, and I love just the way you have to run it. Um, in iRacing, it needs a rescan because you ran the same lane. You just run the middle, basically the entire run, and exit up to the wall. That's just kind of how it works. But unfortunately, even with that, it's still a great track. It's better than most of the mile laps besides the Kansas on here.
One more race, one more deciding round, one more time. We welcome you to the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway, the site of the final round and the championship race for the inaugural season of the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, live with coverage on the KBueno Racing Network. One champion will be decided here this late afternoon, and we are more than ready to crown one after the checker flag here after tonight's race. And along here, alongside Francisco Bacallao, in the booth for one final time in this season, my name is Kenneth Bueno, and we have made it through the grittiest parts of this season, Francisco, and we've shrinked it down to just 4 to compete for this title, with a spotlight all set on all of them.
Yeah, it's the final race of the season. It all comes down to this. No points, no anything. It just comes down to who finishes in front of the others. Obviously, in the positions to win the championship tonight are Brady Weileman, Parker White, Aiden Kirker, and Cole Williams. One of those 4 will come away with the championship, and we will be here the entire night to bring that to you. And it's going to be a good one. Homestead Miami Speedway, definitely the track that you can sense a championship vibe from. There's obviously non-playoff drivers that are here tonight that are going to try and win the race, so we'll have to see how non-playoff drivers will affect how these championship drivers will race one another. But regardless of what happens, it's been a great season. I'm glad to have been up here with you to bring it to you, the final couple races that we've done together, so I'm looking forward to going out with a big race tonight.
And you said that right, Francisco. No more of the points talk going to be taking place here at Homestead Miami Speedway. There is only one rule: finish ahead of the other 3 drivers on the track, and you are a champion. Take a look at the playoff grid and just how far we've come since the start to get to this championship round, ever since the start of the green flag over at Darlington, South Carolina. And now it is down to these 4 all the way in the championship 4 grid: Cole Williams, Parker White, Aiden Kirker, and Brady Weileman. Going to be the 4 running for the title here at Homestead Miami Speedway, and at a place that's so full of championship memorability. You have all the years from this championship past at Homestead in real life and everything that's gone on, especially here in the sim, carrying that over. And now, especially with these 4 drivers so competitive throughout these playoffs, each and every one of them are here for a reason, and now they're competing for the illustrious title here tonight.
Yeah, so many championship memories at this racetrack. You think back to the first Ford Championship weekend. I believe that was when Tony Stewart won the championship. That was the first sanctioned Ford Championship weekend, which was 18 years ago, which is insane to think about. And then most recently, the last time Homestead hosted the championship was Kyle Busch winning his 2nd championship, and then they changed it to Phoenix. So tonight, these guys are looking to try and add to that same sort of vibe they get from hearing those championships. Even though one's in the real world, the other one's in the sim, it still holds that same significance to the sim world as what a win here for the championship would do. And as they're gridding up, let's get ready to bring to you the starting lineup.
Well, just before we get to this starting grid, we'll just get a little more information about the venue itself by looking at our KBRN track map with images provided by Google Earth. Going to go all the way down to South Florida and looking close to Homestead, the city itself. And there's the Homestead Miami Speedway, at 1.5 miles located in Homestead, Florida. A banking of degrees of about 21 and 22 degrees. Track opened in 1995 after the aftermath of Hurricane Andrew. That's one of the tracks, one of the more recent tracks that was built on the schedule, and of course going to be one of the most interesting challenges to watch for here in this race. And of course, you see the drivers all the way down to the starting grid, and that means it's time to bring you your starting grid, see exactly where every championship 4 driver and everybody else is going to be starting here from Homestead. On the pole is Cole Williams, championship driver with a 30.934. He'll put himself on row number 1 right alongside number 8 of Dylan Basin.
Going back to the second row, we have 2 championship contenders, and they are Parker White, who is starting in the 3rd position, and Aiden Kirker, one of the EMR drivers. He is in that second row as well, lining up on the outside line. So look, those 2 we're going to be looking out for tonight.
Championship 4 driver Brady Weileman going to be starting in 5th tonight, and right alongside him, driver who just barely missed after the Bristol race in the checkered flag, Josh Duke, starting tonight from 6th.
Looking back at the 4th row, you see Jack DeAndre. He's back. He's running this race here tonight, hoping to end the season off with a win. And Charlie Byer, one of KBRN's own, is up there in that 8th position. We're hoping to see him run good tonight.
We'll look for the rest. Jaden Lawson off on this grid, and obviously you see the drivers a little bit further behind. Sartaj Maan also in this. They are going to be rounding out this grid here for tonight's championship race from Homestead at Miami Speedway. It'll be Cole Williams and Dylan Basin align the first row of the grid, and we are up and away in championship racing from Homestead.
far. Cole Williams will keep that lead. You see Parker White battling with Dylan Basin to try and take over that second spot. Aiden Kirker and Brady Wilder for the 4th position on the racetrack. So basically the championship 4 are all up front. They're separated only by Dylan Basin, who gets loose in turn 4, and he's going to make contact with Brady Wilderman, and Josh Duke is around. Aiden Kirker's also around. Huge wreck off turn number 4 on the first lap of the race.
First lap caution involves multiple drivers, including championship 4 contender, who might have just gotten away very lucky there. Aiden Kirker with minimal to no damage as the rest of the field behind suffers. Josh Duke with damage, Sartaj Mon with damage, Dylan Basin, who went around to start this whole thing, he also has damage as well. Jaden Lawson, Jack DeAndrea. And oh boy, we'll look at this replay and see exactly what might have caused this initial yellow on this first lap here at Homestead. Miami Speedway was working all the way to the top side. Dylan Basin was right on the outside of Parker White, and you can see these two working together. You see Dylan Basin trying to work up that high groove, just got a little bit loose, tried to keep the car straight, got into Brady Wilderman just a little bit, and then everyone just slowing down behind. There's Jaden Lawson getting a piece, Sartaj Mon, Josh Duke, and Aiden Kirker just barely got collected in there. He had to slow down significantly for that one.
You know, it looked like he didn't hit anything. He might actually be clean. Just, it looks like he was just trying to avoid the incident and never made contact with anybody. If that's the case, that is a huge break for him early on. But it looks as though the cause of this incident must have been cold tires and being on that outside line. Unlike the real Homestead Miami Speedway, with the way the tire model is on iRacing, you can't go all the way up against the wall, especially on these opening laps. There's no grip up there, so cold tires coupled with when he was on the seam up there must have gotten loose. And that triggered that big wreck that we just saw in the first lap of the race, which is a bit unfortunate.
Gonna get their fast repairs. You see Aiden Kirker still down a pit lane. Looks like his damages aren't so extensive to the point to trigger on that fast repair, so he's gonna exit. Josh Duke will be the only driver left to sit onto the pit road. So our first caution comes at the first lap here. The 1.5-miler Homestead Miami Speedway. You did see, though, that move for second going into turn number 3 and leaving the 3 other 4 championship 4 drivers in 1, 2, and 3. In the position grid, Cole Williams obviously still up front. Parker White, who made that move for second on the bottom in 3 and 4. And Brady Wilderman, who just tagged along, sitting in 3rd. How about the driver sitting in 4th? Charlie Byer, a KBRN zone, running a new scheme. Of course, running our own colors out there. Good to see him out there running the EO Media Racing colors in the Toyota Camry. So he made his appearance at Bristol last week, and he's got plans to run LWRC coming into next season when we go for the stock cars once again. We have our 1 to green signal, so we will take one more loop around this racetrack before we get to the green flag and try to have our hands at a restart and try to get some green flag racing along to continue to decide the championship 4 and the championship battle all the way to the checkered flag. Francisco, I was going to ask this a little bit earlier, but I think now, since we have this first yellow, we've already got a little bit of damage for a good chunk of drivers. Now we're coming back to this green flag. What have been your thoughts about what this race was going to be, or at least before that yellow flag, what it was going to be?
Well, first thing that these guys got to look for is their cars. It's only lap 4. You want to take care of your cars. We saw Aiden Kirker already be involved in an incident. Doesn't look like he has any damage, and if he does, it's very minimal. But for the other 3, the goal is to keep it clean. If you can keep it clean until lap 85, then go I'm going to use a different terminology because of, you know, the normal expression, but you want to keep it clean until the end so you can go as hard as you possibly can and are willing to do whatever it takes to win the championship. But you need to have a car by lap 85 if you want to have any sort of shot. So here's Cole Williams and Parker White, the front row for this restart. And there goes Cole Williams with a great restart. Charlie Byer making it 3 wide on the outside of Parker White and Brady Wilderman. They're 3 wide going into turn 1. What a great restart for Charlie Byer.
3 wide as Charlie Byer scoops up to the top. Wilderman looking for the bottom. Parker White stuck all the way in the middle. Meanwhile, Cole Williams continues to lead off on this group, and especially as they're battling behind 4 position, that's easily going to allow that number 42 to gain all the ground on each and every driver behind. So far, not the case, though. They're seeming to clear out as the 51 looks to the inside of the 7. Parker White looking to challenge for the race lead.
And this goes back to the package. You see, actually, Brady Wilderman got really loose off turn number 4. He's going to lose a ton of spots. But it goes back to what I was saying in the package. Parker White was in the middle of 3 wide 1 lap ago, and here he is all over the back now of Cole Williams trying to challenge for the race lead. You see, he's unable to really find a lane to get by him. So he's going to try and stay in his draft and see what he can do if he can just stay there and hope for a mistake out of the 42 to get by, or if he's just going to wait until the tires wear just a little bit, because right now this is the hardest time to make a pass on somebody.
And there's Dylan Basin getting loose off of turn 4. He's going to lose ground to both Sartaj and Brady Wileman, maybe even Jaden Lawson. And there's championship contender Aiden Kirker, who spun on that opening lap. And opening caution down the front straightaway. Even though he's got his damage repaired, he is just trying to stay alive right now. Still early in this race, though, Francisco, and especially when you look at these mistakes, especially when mistakes go into the equation, when you start looking at the drivers that are making those mistakes, it's better to make those early in the run rather than making them very late in the run when you're basically running out of time for that championship at the checkered flag. Rather make it on lap 7 than anywhere else.
Oh yeah, it's better to make the mistake early like Aiden did on the first lap of the race than have that happen on the final restart. We've seen so many instances where in the championship race where there's mistakes that happen at different points in the championship in that race, and it makes a difference. You see Parker White trying to get side by side with Cole Williams, but we saw in the last championship race that Homestead Miami Speedway had, Martin Truex Jr.'s pit crew put the tires on backwards, though that won't be an issue for this because of the simulation. That's still like mistakes like that, simple mistakes can cost you, and Martin Truex Jr. was never really able to truly recover from that. As you see Cole Williams scrape the wall there entering turn 1 as they continue to stay side by side, but early mistakes they're not desirable, but they're better than the other options, and we've seen before how even a mistake in the middle of the race can really derail you until the very end.
Yeah, especially in some of these races we've seen in this season so far, huge mistakes that have happened in middle of races near the end of the races has basically cost the drivers the win. If you're a watcher of the KBueno Racing Network and you watched the Bungeon Lawn Care Series at Phoenix, that doubleheader that took place this past Monday, you saw what has happened to Parker White when he had those mistakes a little bit in the middle of this race. He just could not recover near the end, as all those green-white checkers, everything that was going on, did not enable him to catch all the way up to the lead where he was so dominant in those races respectively. Not the case though in this series though, has yet to really make any crucial mistakes, has been the winner of countless races this season, especially in his debut over at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, notable wins like Chicagoland, obviously the one at Phoenix that put himself into this championship 4 battle. That's the reason why he's here tonight. Also Cole Williams, who locked himself into the championship 4 with that win at Kansas. Aiden Kirker basically locked himself on points after Bristol, and then Brady Wileman pointing his way in after that crucial battle with Josh Duke. But looking still up front, Parker White has been challenging for the race lead a couple times, looking to the inside, has yet to really execute it perfectly. Now he's got the nose ahead out of turn 4.
Yeah, side by side, but holding that bottom's a little tough, especially when you see Cole there. He's going to have the momentum off the corner, and he's going to lead the lap, I think, right there. But they're going to continue side by side here in turn 1. And the key for Parker here is if he wants to complete this pass, he has to do it quickly, because the tires are going to continue to wear. You see Cole is just going to barely stay on his quarter panel, and that's all he needs to stay side by side and have the preferred momentum down the backstretch. You see Cole was basically on his quarter panel, and he's edging ahead. So these two will continue side by side, and as long as they stay that way, it could invite people like Charlie, who's back in 3rd, to get closer to this battle. CC Parker got a little bit loose there in turn 4, so they stay side by side. So this isn't a great battle, but it's still early on, so they're probably not taking that many risks. So we'll have to see what becomes of this as Charlie Byer continues to close in. If they'll keep battling each other, will they settle this out? It looks as though Parker White will clear Cole Williams and new leader 95.
Parker White takes over the race lead and indeed takes over the championship battle. And as they were side by side, I was assuming they were going to stay side by side into turns number 3 and 4. What I was going to bring up was the tires. Of course, tire saving very, very big at a track like this, which wears down the tires so much at Homestead Miami Speedway. One of those tracks on the schedule, one of those tracks on the iRacing platform that can really degrade your tires in a flash. And when we were talking about the pre-race interviews just before we got green underway here, when we talked to all 4 of the championship contenders, they pretty much all had the general consensus that tires was going to be one of the biggest factors when it came down to being there at the end and being the champion over all the 3. Remember, there's no points having to take place. You don't necessarily have to win the race either. You just have to finish ahead of all the other championship contenders, and you're considered a champion. Doesn't matter who wins this race. However, though, the competition between Parker White and Cole Williams, even the other drivers, Aiden Kirker, Brady Wileman, could be enough to mean that you would need to win this race theoretically in order to be crowned that champion in this season. Right now, Parker White continuing to lead this way. Cole Williams starting to fall back behind. Almost could have invited Charlie Byer if they had stayed side by side. So far, everyone's single file, though not much battling on the racetrack. Here's a 3-car train behind.
Yeah, you see Aiden Kirker's actually made some decent ground. He's back up to the 4th position. Brady Wileman, on the other hand, has lost positions throughout the run. I believe he's down in about 7th place right now. So not desirable, but the good thing for him is that it's still early in the race, so he's probably just trying to watch his car, make sure that he's able to get to the latter portion of the race. He saw the lap 1 incident. Though they're a bit spread out more, he's probably just being a bit more cautious at this point of the race, hoping that he'll get another opportunity later when it matters more. But you see Aiden Kirker there in the 4th position, catching up to Charlie Byer, and if he's able to get by him, that'll move him up to the 3rd position. But if we look at the lead, Cole Williams has been passed, but he's not exactly letting Parker White go. Unlike those Bristol and Phoenix races when Parker took the lead from him, Cole's actually staying with them. You see he's about a car length back right now, but he's really kept Parker in check right here.
Looking at our EO Media onboard cam, riding along with that number 42, Cole Williams. You see the draft just ever so slightly helping him on those straightaways, especially when you're going into the turns on each and every end of this racetrack. And another thing that we would look at when you go to a track like Homestead Miami Speedway is just the banking and the way just the track is constructed. Obviously before, in 1995, when the track was first unveiled, it had a square layout, much more like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it had that kind of square rectangle-like configuration. But before they moved to this oval, then they implemented the banking. As we look a little bit further back, Aiden Kirker is just taking 3rd, that podium spot over Charlie Byer. But this track is much different from a lot of the other tracks in the way that it has long corners. You can really kind of swing the car all the way up to the wall, especially when you go all the way to the exit. You're kind of putting the throttle in, you're slowly drifting up the track, but most of the time that's not necessarily a bad thing at a track like Homestead. You can kind of skimp up all the way to the wall, be a little bit closer than usual, especially on that exit when you have a lot more to work with, and it can easily help you maneuver the corners a little bit better than so if it wasn't so long and there was kind of a direct motion to the wall. And that's one of the differences that Homestead has over a lot of the other tracks that enables the racing that we've seen so far, as Dylan Basin has worked over to 4th, Charlie Byer slowly falling back through the field.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the point that you were just about how Homestead's different mile and a half than most others, and one of them being the shape of it. It's a true oval in a sense that it's not a quad oval, it's not a tri-oval, it's just 2 straightaways and the corners. So the corners make it a little bit longer, which means you have to lift a little bit more, maybe brake, as the tires really degrade here, especially with the surface that we have. So they've changed the layout of this racetrack throughout the years, but this is obviously the best combo that they've had. This racetrack, you saw that little glimpse there of the whole track, but this is one of the best combos they've been able to come up with, and Homestead Miami Speedway is one of the better mile and a halves that we go to on the NASCAR circuit, both real life and the sim, and it has some great racing, and the surface culminates the entirety of this whole thing. So, you know, it's a special racetrack, and it's definitely worth of a championship day, and it lives up to all the expectations. But you see Cole Williams is still all over the back of Parker White. Aiden Kirker into that 3rd position. So 3 of the championship contenders in the top 3 positions. And meanwhile, Brady Wileman down in 8th position. So a little bit cause of concern. Probably not right now. It is only lap 21. But if it was lap 61, I'd probably be a little bit more concerned.
Yeah, and this also comes to the strategy that Brady Wileman wanted to play. I mean, talking to him just shortly before this race, when we had that pre-race interview to discuss with him and what his thoughts were going into this race, he said specifically and blatantly that he was going to be in the back of the field mostly through this race. He was going to hang back, just kind of stay relaxed for a little bit. Then at the end, that's where he's going to be. That's where he's going to shine the most. Maybe that is the strategy for that number 51, to try and steal the championship away from all the other 3 drivers, and maybe just hang in the back for now, let the chaos unfold up front, let everything happen up there should there be a wreck or anything that could easily develop up front. We've seen a lot of dramatic finishes. This could easily fall into that category, and then Brady Wileman could just easily pick up the pieces, go straight by, and he could be the champion. So right now, I think not a cause for concern, especially early on, as you see him fighting with league owner Jaden Lawson for position. That's for P7, but sure to keep an eye on him as soon as we continue to go through this race. Keep an eye out for the race lead, though. Still eager 1 and 2 between Cole Williams and Parker White. They've still maintained within about just less than a car length, all bumper to bumper to each other. Meanwhile, though, Aiden Kirker and Dylan Basin have slowly tried to catch up to these 2.
I was keeping an eye on that battle while you were talking about Brady Wileman. They were side by side for a few laps there. Cole almost edged out ahead of Parker, but Parker was able to hold him off. So those 2 seem to be pretty evenly matched right now. It'll come down to who has the track position. Of course, still early, but a little bit of things to look forward to in the NEC Basin. Recovered early. He lost spots on the restart, but probably saved his tires a little bit better, and he's driven on his way up the field. And you see behind him Jack D'Andrea in that 28. He's up there in the top 5 positions. So a couple of non-playoff drivers behind this championship 4. They're probably not going to race them too hard, but unless they're dramatically quicker, we may see them challenge.
Yeah, and that's also come to another conversation that you have, especially when you go to a championship race, and even just through the playoffs. It's not necessarily just a championship race. Of course, the championship holds a lot more value, holds a lot more weight than the playoff races, but even still, you're looking at the playoff races where, you know, these drivers are non-playoff drivers, guys who are just running for the win, guys who are just running because they want to run and they think they really like the track, or whatever may be the reason why they decide to be on the grid, check the green flag here, and go for this race. It is that conversation of how hard will you race the playoff drivers? Are you going to be kind of eager to watch out for them a little more? You think you're going to be letting them by, especially when they're faster? What kind of situations or what kind of things will you do in order to make sure that you're not tampering with this championship run and with the playoff drivers? You're not making sure that you're hurting them in the long run, because you could be battling for position for third. Let's say a specific situation. Let's say if Dylan Basin were to just completely battle with the 39, they'd be side by side. That's going to hurt that 39's chances of trying to get up to the championship contenders, which he is facing. Luckily, though, that is not the case. Dylan Basin's still trying to tag on behind, but that also brings up that question: what are you willing to do to make sure that you're not in that championship fight and you're not tampering with the championship fight? Or maybe if you're a driver and you just don't mind, you're just running for the win.
Yeah, it's a tough balance to find, but typically these guys are able to find out on their own. I mean, you usually don't want to race these guys too aggressively, but if you have to, then you have to race for yourself. I mean, you want to make sure you don't affect their chances negatively, but you still are running your own race. So it's a tough balance, but typically they're able to work it out.
See that 3-car train here for third on back. That is Aiden Kirker, Dylan Basin, and Jack D'Andrea. Have kept our eyes on them for a good portion of tonight's race. It is, though, about a 2-second gap to 6th place Charlie Byer, who on this long run has fallen off significantly. I guess the tires maybe just got the better of him, especially as they have worn on through the nighttime sky throughout this race. But one driver's around. Actually, that's Aiden Kirker up to the inside wall, and that's our caution. Second time tonight. I'm not sure whether that might have been help or whether that was just a spin solo for Aiden Kirker, but we have our yellow flag second time this evening at Aiden Kirker in turns 3 and 4. Take a look at this off the corner as Dylan Basin got into him. The 39 locked up the brakes there, obviously just trying to not hit the wall. Slowly did get a piece of that wall though. And an unfortunate 2 incidents already in the first segment of this race. Looked like the 08 was just tagging along behind, didn't seem too harmful. I think the 39 might have just gotten up the track, and then all of a sudden, maybe just a checkup. That 08 really did not know when to react, or really maybe it was just too fast for him to react in time. And he slightly tapped him, but that was enough to send that 39 around. And Kirker now with some more damage as everyone goes down pit road behind Parker White.
That's a tough situation there for Aiden. You hate to see it, though. A silver lining is he didn't really hit that pit wall too hard, so optionals might be very limited to just a couple of seconds. So, I mean, he's escaped a couple of big incidents. I will tell you that. You don't want to have these sort of problems going on, but at least they're the problems that he's having and not anything else. And it looks as though Parker White may have just taken 2 tires.
And also Brady Weileman gets the edge over everybody, as now Charlie Byer, Cole Williams is up to stay out. Aiden Kirker is going to get out before Basin and Cole going to be the last 2 out. Not sure whether Cole is taking some extra measurements. At least now he's going to head out of pit road. Dylan Basin is going to be the last one, but what a move there. Parker White takes a significantly less time on the pit stop. Jack D'Andrea will move up to second. Brady Weileman, that strategy and that move down pit road will put him on the podium right now, at least. So that could be a deciding factor on how the rest of this race plays out. Obviously, Jaden Lawson got out before them as well. I'm not sure whether he pitted or whether he just took a less time down pit road than the rest of them, as Charlie Byer going to be the first one off in terms of the drivers there behind. Kirker has, I believe, pulled the trigger on the fast repair now, so he will be up into 6th place. Josh Duke 7th. Cole Williams will be 8th. Dylan Basin up to 9th, as now he's just exiting the pit road. And just before we actually get under green once again, A quick reminder that if you want to join the conversation with us up in the KBRN booth, you can do so on this championship night by using hashtag AskKBRN. You can ask your question, followed by that hashtag. We'll be sure to answer it just as soon as you send it up here in the booth. Of course, questions within appropriate reason, that is. Of course, you can use hashtag AskKBRN for anything you want to ask. So now we've had a glimpse of our first long run, Francisco. We've had about, I'd say, 30 laps or so, 29 before we got that second yellow flag with Aiden Kirker. You saw what would happen in the long run. Is there really anyone else you like to keep your eye on that could really shine if we get further long runs in this race?
Look out for Jack DeAndre. I mean, he was a little bit quiet that opening run, but he came up to the top 5 towards the end of that run. And an interesting note here, if this race goes green, they will be a little bit close on fuel, so that's another thing to look out for.
Definitely be something to keep our eyes peeled for. Pit strategy, should that come into play, especially in a championship fight. That will be one of the more dramatic things we see. We'll just have to see if that comes into play, but for now, everyone's good on fuel for now, and everyone's good on the tires. Parker White will lead this field back to the green flag, and we're up underway as Weileman looks on the bottom. Jack DeAndrea fighting for second.
Great cutaway by Parker White. You see he's going to easily clear them. Brady Weileman going up to the second position over Charlie Byer, who's going to settle down into third. You see everybody scrambling, trying to get as many spots as they can. Cole Williams in the back, probably, or actually no, he's right behind Aiden Kirker in fourth and fifth, excuse me. Charlie Byer mounting a charge, trying to take over the second position all over Brady Weileman. He's actually going to get loose on the bottom.
He's going to save it. Basin also looking to save the car as well, and he also did. Great job by both of those drivers to keep it straight and not collect anyone else in the process. You saw Charlie Byer was looking to the inside of championship driver Brady Weileman, and unfortunately got loose underneath. Was able to save it though, but look at this. Championship drivers are 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the grid, as now Cole Williams takes over third from Aiden Kirker. You saw that side-by-side battle going into turn number 3, and all 4 championship contenders all in position within each other on lap number 34.
Yeah, you start getting vibes from the real NASCAR Cup Series races where the championship contenders are always 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit of help involved in making that happen, but nonetheless, the best 4 drivers of the season are running in the top 4 positions right now with almost 50 laps to go. We're not quite yet at the halfway part of this race. Parker White leading one of his close friends, Brady Weileman, and then 2 teammates of Cole Williams and Aiden Kirker. Aiden Kirker, despite all the issues he's had to this point, is running right. He has the championship contenders in his sights, so if you were to tell him going into the race he'd have 2 spins at this point and still have the championship contenders in sight with a clean car, I think he'll take it.
And of course, he pulled that trigger on that fast repair down pit road, so that is the reason he has a picture-perfect car. Of course, it did not look like that in the opening segment when he had the damage on the rear end from that first incident with slight contact with Jack DeAndrea, sitting right behind him on the racetrack right now. And then obviously with that spin that had a small contact with the inside walls, kind of bent the left front just a little bit. Luckily though, he did have that fast repair. He didn't pull the trigger the first time around, so he was able to do it the second time, and now he's got a clean car. But the issue is here, Francisco, is that when you have these fast repairs to your advantage and you use them, especially when you use them earlier in this race, that could spell trouble if you have an incident. You're basically banking that you won't have any incidents from here on to the rest of the race. There's sometimes that it might not be in your control that you get into an incident. Of course, there off of turn 4, Dylan Basin was something that 39 really couldn't control, and then just trying to hold on and make sure the car wasn't going to go all the way straight to the outside wall. But, you know, you're looking at the fast repair. You take that fast repair, and all of a sudden you don't have any left. So any damage you accrue from here on out will result in time down in pit road. So you'll spend a lot more time down pit road getting damage fixed if you get more damage. Especially if you get significant damage, you won't have anything to really help you. You're just basically be stuck down pit road until that damage is fixed, and in some serious situations it may take even more than 10 minutes to repair that car, and that could spell the end of the championship run for a driver should that happen. Luckily though, that has not been the case so far. Right now as we're working lap number 37, now coming to lap number 38. So far been looking, the battle for second has been brewing up as Cole Williams has slowly caught up to the back bumper of that 5 guy of Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, Cole Williams, we made a note of this. He's definitely one of the quickest drivers here tonight. We don't know exactly what happened on that pit stop. Maybe had a penalty. It happened to him, I believe, at Bristol. So a mistake early possibly may have happened on that 42 team, but still early enough to where he can recover. And clearly, you can see he has the speed to do it. What does that mean on his tires, though? We have no clue, and we'll see how it turns out on the long run. Right now, battling Brady Weileman for that second position as we're on board with Brady. You see what it looks like to be inside that car with the gyro cam battling with a championship contender for the second position. Parker White out of his front windshield, and basically at this point in the race, this is kind of what you want. You want to keep whoever's in the championship lead in your front windshield. As long as you can keep it that way, you're probably doing a good job. He might have just scraped the wall there as they almost made contact. Cole Williams to the bottom of the racetrack trying to get by him. That's not exactly the preferred line as far low as he went, but you see they're going to be side by side on corner exit. That's going to invite Aiden Kirker to close in on them a little bit more, and you see Jack DeAndre back there lingering as well. But these two battling is exactly what Parker White wants to see. He was already pulling away from them, but seeing them side by side is going to just make the gap grow that more, and it's going to make him feel a lot more comfortable through this run. And you never know, maybe he can save a little bit more than what he has to, and that may help him out towards the end of this run as you see them close quarter racing between two championship contenders in Amy 3.
Still side by side as Cole Williams looks to the inside, may have the nose edge and may have to clear him off the straightaway. It's not enough though. Gonna look into turn number 1, but you did say that was gonna invite Aiden Kirker, and indeed that is playing true to your words. He is now looking to the back bumper of both championship contenders, gonna try to take away second, but now Cole Williams will finally find his way by the 51, and now the target is just gonna have to catch at number 95 of Parker White. And Parker White going into this race, and especially throughout his iRacing sim career, has said that Homestead is his best track. The Homestead has been his baby ever since, and he's basically been very, very skilled at this racetrack, has been phenomenal in the stock cars at this racetrack. Of course, I remember in the sim, and the great thing about the sim and iRacing is that you can join, even if you're not even a driver really in a lot of leagues, and you can take your hand to the race car. You can battle against some of these drivers that are in this series. I personally have competed with Parker White in the sim, and one of the truck series, a practice race for a league right here at this very track under kind of the similar settings here that we're seeing here tonight. And Parker White was just so fast, very, very fast, especially on the longer runs where he was able to maintain his truck, maintain his vehicle underneath him, save those tires, and especially at a track like this was really able to shoot away from the rest of the field. I guess I'd give myself a little bit of credit. I did try the last lap move. I tried something down at the bottom. It wasn't enough, but it was still a phenomenal battle, and still the great skill that Parker White holds behind the race car on the sim, especially at a track like Homestead, Miami, and a track that he claims as his best right now, suitable for him as he's holding on to the lead. Aiden Kirker, though, looking for a podium spot underneath Brady.
Yeah, going back to Parker White for a second, I've also raced against him over in the Bunch and Lawn Care series. Yeah, it's amazing what he's been able to do. How he hasn't won a race there yet is bananas to me. I feel like he's going to get one soon, personally, I think. But, I mean, we saw what happened in the Phoenix race at the end of the season, last season in the Bunch Championship. That's probably on his mind tonight. Maybe he wants to sort of redeem himself for that. You mentioned how he thinks Homestead is his best track. What a better way to come over here, win all these races that he's been able to do, and come out and win a championship at your best track. And it makes you feel a lot better, and probably could give him momentum in that other series. But you see, Brady Wildman's starting to fall back a little bit, probably either employing that strategy or maybe used up his tires just that little bit more. I mean, I got a report from that last caution that his tire wear was significantly higher than most of his competitors. So maybe using up his tires just a little bit too much early in the runs to where he won't have that long run speed. We'll have to see how that unfolds for the rest of this race. Move Jack DeAndre up to the 4th spot, and Aiden Kirker, Cole Williams now trying to chase down Parker White.
The 51 slowly scooping back to P number 5 behind Jack DeAndre. If you saw Charlie Wire on that restart, he's fallen back to 6, and he's maintained themselves ever since. There's Josh Duke behind, and what a conversation with Josh Duke, especially at the checkered flag over the last great Coliseum at Bristol Motor Speedway, where just short of a championship advancement into this round and could have had a shot and was just 2 points shy of being here tonight and competing for a championship here tonight. You would have seen those orange banners if he wasn't those 2 points behind Brady Wildman. It was such a close-knit battle between those two, and it was really a lot of fun to watch. As and now he's running in the 6th position, just trying to hold on the best way he can. And there is Dylan Basin currently running in the 9th spot, currently 1 lap down. There is Jaden Lawson, and pretty much the rest of this field. Sartaj is practically out of this race ever since that first incident on the opening lap. So far, Parker White continuing to lead, and as we look to the halfway segment of this race, going to look through the field right here on KBRN, starting with our race leader, Parker White. In the 95, one of the championship 4 contenders, went into this race with a lot of momentum after the win at Phoenix and after the win at Bristol last week, looking for a win on another 1.5 miler to join the other wins at Charlotte and at Chicagoland as well, possibly even Kentucky Speedway, and all the tracks that he's won on so far this season. Currently sitting first at his best track, certainly sitting in one of the best spots right now, the Championship 4, leading all of them.
Cole Williams, the pole sitter of the race. He has been running second to Parker White for most of this race. Restarted in the back the last time we had a caution, but has driven his way up to second and is catching Parker White. These two have been the class of the field, and we can't count out this 42 car. We'll have to see what he has to pose to that 95 before this checkered flag waves, because he may be right there on his bumper.
Close calls have been the name of the game for Aiden Kirker so far tonight. Got into those two incidents, one on lap 1 where he spun around, was able to save the car with minimal damage to the rear end, and then all of a sudden got into that second incident with contact at Dylan Basin later on lap number 29. So far, though, has been looking relatively clean, has been third right now in the championship battle after getting by both Jack DeAndrea and Brady Wildman in 4th position and 4th position in the championship standings. So right now, eyeing those two all the way up front with 35 laps to go, could potentially have a strategy to win this race later on. Francisco?
Yeah, looking back into the 4th position, we have our first of the non-championship contending drivers, and that is Jack DeAndrea. He's back. We haven't seen him in a couple races. Dylan Basin, a lap car on newer tires going by. Jack DeAndrea is back, and he's running for the final race of the season, trying to end the season on a high note. You see Aiden Kirker going up the racetrack there. Jack DeAndrea might be able to take over that position. Jack he's a strong driver. He's very capable. You see he's gained positions from the start of the race. I would not count him out. He got a couple of AFIX wins here when AFIX was here 2 weeks ago, I believe. So he's good at this racetrack, and we cannot count him out for potentially contending for the race win if he gets himself into position. So right now running 4th and strong.
When asked about what his strategy was going to be to win the championship here tonight for the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, Brady Wildman said, quotes, "I'm just going to hang in the back," and then quote, "So far has been the strategy early on in this race was up front due to that pit strategy. So far under this long green flag run on the tires has slowly fallen back to the top 5, right now sitting last in the championship standings. Luckily though for him, still a long way to go into the checkered flag and still time left for that 51 to try and rebound everything that he's lost and try to gain a first and inaugural LWRC NASCAR Cup Series championship for that number 51. Was the winner at Dega earlier this year, has yet to pick up a win ever since, but even if he doesn't get the win, a championship will mean so much more down the road.
Looking back at the 6th position, we have KBRN's own Charlie Byer. He's actually going to come down pit road this time, so I don't know what strategy call this may be, but down pit road goes Charlie Byer. Maybe realizing he can't go the entirety of the distance on just a single stop, which was a point I raised under that caution, that maybe it was a little close. We'll have to see what the rest of these guys do, but down pit road to potentially start a green flag cycle is Charlie Byer.
There's Josh Duke sitting in P number 6, was sitting 7th before Charlie Byer headed his way down pit road, and just as we mentioned before, barely missed the championship 4 round over at Bristol by 2 points to Brady Wildman. Currently now sitting in 7th, just trying to hold on and get a good finish for what could be a momentum-based effort all the way to Daytona when we reach over to the 2nd season in this LWRC NASCAR Cup Series. So far, currently running in 6th, has had a relatively quiet race, but right now just trying to hold on for the most part.
Yeah, Jaden Lawson, league owner, thank you for putting on a fantastic season. He's down pit road right now, but there's your league owner for putting on a great season. The final race, we'll be able to crown a champion thanks to him. He's had a quiet night. You see kind of overshot his pit box there. He must have missed it really bad there, but he's had a quiet night, and thanks to him, we've been able to put on these races, and we're able to have a champion be able to be crowned tonight. So we want to give him the thanks for allowing us to be in the broadcast booth for his series and putting on some great races, and away he goes.
And finally, sitting in P number 7 now, he was 1 lap down. I believe he just unlapped himself. That is the 08 of Dylan Basin, runner for Flying Arrows, and one of the new entries into that team, joined along some of the other Flying Arrows members that we have seen, especially on the KBueno Racing Network. You mentioned Blaze McKinney, Shane DeMantova. If you're a watcher over on the 3Y TV side, in the Galaxy Cup Series, you would see Jonathan Delaney, who was also one of the Flying Arrows members. Dylan Basin currently started in 2nd and now sitting in 7th after that early incident, has yet to really rebound from it, and ever since just trying to hold on to what he can, rebound up to the top where he once was earlier in this race. But if you look all the way back up front as we conclude our through the field, there's Parker White, race leader, but almost could be race leader no more, as Cole Williams now looking to the back bumper.
Cole Williams has absolutely ran him down. He's restarted in the back on that last caution and has driven up to the back bumper of his championship rival. How he can get past is going to be a different story. We've talked about this. Homestead isn't exactly how it is in the real life version of itself. It's really running the middle lane, so it's hard to pass with the package, but you typically will be able to make it work at a track like this relative to some other ones. So Cole probably trying to see where exactly he's able to detect a potential weakness in that 95 car to where he can make a run. You see, typically getting a little bit of a higher exit, but he's able to carry that momentum down the front straightaway and use a little bit of that draft into the corners. If he can get a little bit closer and maybe get on either the inside or the outside, and preferably, as we've seen tonight, getting to the outside of the driver is going to help you keep the position. So maybe Cole Williams holding off right now and not showing Parker everything, because we still have just about 26 or 27 laps to go, excuse me, before we crown a champion. So probably waiting a little bit to see what happens in the coming laps before actually making a move. So this is the championship fight right here. This is what it's building up to be. Jack DeAndre is in that third spot right now. Aiden Kirker is in fourth. So right now it's these two, and unless there's a caution, it looks as though it's going to be either Parker White or Cole Williams.
And we are looking at about 26 laps to go until we get to the end of this race over at lap number 85. Of course, still a ways to go before we even get there, and still could be in the question. There still could be things to add into the equation. We have yet to really finish it. Cautions could also play into effect. Pit strategy could also make its way into the conversation. We've already seen two drivers go down pit road so far, in Charlie Byer and Jaden Lawson. You have yet to see really anybody else, though, in this lead lap. Francisco head down pit road, but so far it has been the class of the field. These two, the 95 and the 42, been eagerly at battle. Aiden Kirker, who is in third on that podium spot, has lost that spot to Jack DeAndre sitting third. But I'll tell you, they're not necessarily too far behind these drivers. I'd say about 2 seconds. They're not necessarily inherently super far. They still could make that gap up on the racetrack, and if anything happens between those top two and Cole Williams and Parker White, they could find their way up to the top two spots. And there's Charlie Byer, who is a lap car, who went down pit road. He's going to try and get by. He's going to work the outside under the fresh rubber. He's going to easily get by to the outside so far. And these two, specifically Francisco, I mean, two completely different stories in this season, especially when you look at now that they're in the same position running for a championship, and right now sitting 1 and 2. If you look at Cole Williams, he's been here since the start of this season. Aiden Kirker has also followed too. Those two, and Cole Williams specifically, have been there since the drop of the green flag in Daytona, and have made every single start to the green flag here at Homestead and Miami Speedway. Parker White, on the other hand, joined just a couple of months back in the dead middle of the season, and already went up to a dominating run, and that's the reason why he was even a contender in this championship to begin with. And the amount of points that he's racked up through the season has enabled him to do so in that fashion. Two completely different entries into this championship 4 battle. The good thing that at least compares these two, makes it a little bit more similar, is that these two have both locked themselves in. Difference is, though, Parker White is off of 2 straight wins. Cole Williams hasn't won a race in 2 races after the win at Kansas over the rest of that field. So it is one of the more interesting conversations to bring in, just how the championship 4 gets developed, because not everyone has the same story, Francisco, and you can see this in the real life factor. You can see this also in the sim. The racing is just as good, and the racing can still have those compelling storylines. Each and every driver coming from different backgrounds, different places across the country, and of course different stories that bring them into this championship conversation, and it makes it a lot more interesting to watch as a result.
Oh yeah, we every year there's always that one storyline we talk about. If you look back into the 2018 championship race in the real life version, Joey Logano, the Big 3 and me, he prevailed despite everybody saying it was going to be one of the Big 3 drivers. You know, there's always a storyline with one or most of the drivers that are involved in the championship, and just like we've seen here today, you mentioned it, Parker White joined in the middle of the season. Cole Williams has made every single race along with Aiden Kirker. So different circumstances have brought these two together on the racetrack to battle for the championship, and you got to love that about the sim racing. They've also combined for the last 4 race wins, 3 from Parker White and 1 for Cole Williams. So they've won the last 4 races in the series, and here they are battling for not just the race win, but for a championship with 21 laps to go. Parker White did extend his lead to about half a second. Remember, Cole Williams was right behind him just a couple laps ago, but as Parker White has been able to extend the lead just a little bit. And on another note, Josh Duke did come down pit road as well, so another driver is on that pit strategy of pitting to take new tires. Will that work out? Well, we have yet to see if the caution will come out anytime in the next 20 laps or so. And we don't know if these guys will have to pit or not, because remember, we restarted with about 56 laps to go, and they pitted maybe with 58 to go. So it's going to be really close for some of these guys if they're able to make it or not. And we'll have to see how this unfolds.
Definitely going to be interesting, especially if these leaders have to go down pit road. If they have no other choice, if they can't do anything else but go down pit road, that will also bring into the conversation. Could result in a pit strategy that could result in a different champion. Right now, we're looking at a dominant driver, but that has always changed in a lot of these races. There could always be a dominant driver. There could always be a driver that looked like the class of the field. All of a sudden, there's a caution, there's restarts, there's pit strategy, and all of that combined can result in a completely different winner down the stretch. We could see Parker White dominated this race so far. We can see him dominate almost every single lap, but something could happen, could immediately take him out of the race lead. Something we've seen so many times with Parker White in the Bunch of Lawn Care Series. Of course, those are all out of his control, and usually it's not fortunate to see when a dominant driver gets into an issue, especially when they're having such a good race, when they're having such a good run, and especially when they deserve to have that good run and how hard they've worked and how good they are on the racetrack. So it could still be in the question as we're approaching probably about, I'd say, 17, 18 laps to go. We're still a long way through. There's still some racing left to be said until this is all said and done to the end. And it's going to be a long way as Parker White continues to lead. You saw Josh Duke get by, so he has officially unlapped himself on the racetrack. That is good to see. The only driver that is one lap down currently is league owner Jaden Lawson, currently sitting in the final spot into P number 9. You see him right there with Brady Weileman under 3 and 4. Brady Weileman sitting 5th on the track.
Yeah, one of the most torturous things to ever be in a position on a race car is when you're sitting here leading the race and you just got to keep counting down the laps. There's this long green flag run, you're pulling away from the guy behind you, and you have to sit here and just run these laps out and hope that there's no caution. In my PS3 league racing days, I've been in that position many times where you're just hoping there's no caution and you just want it to go green, because if it goes green, you have it in your hands. Usually a late yellow could throw a wrench into it, throws a situation that you're not expecting, or circumstances fold that lead you to lose the position that you once had before the yellow comes out, or in other instances you end up winning anyway. So you just never know, and you never want to have that chance happen. So right now, Parker White, though he's leading and he looks comfortable in the lead over 1 second on Cole Williams, he has 16 and he's coming to 15 laps to go. These are going to be the 15 longest laps that he's ever run at this racetrack. It's just so torturous to have to sit here, count these laps down, because every lap becomes longer than the last.
And even then, you're thinking in your head whether a caution's going to come out. You're waiting, you're worrying each and every lap you go by the start-finish line if there's a caution going to come out. You're wondering that in your mind throughout the entire run. And for someone that has been in a lot of these races, a lot of these long green flag scenarios, a lot of times, the leader, especially under a long green flag run, they could easily suffer under a yellow, and they've probably been thinking about it ever since they dropped the green flag on the restart, and ever since the start of that run, they're worrying about whether yellow's going to come out, they're worrying about whether something's going to happen on the racetrack that could easily ruin their run. Because right now, if you're looking at green all the way through, if you're looking at this flag-to-flag run from the restart all the way to the checkered flag, Parker White's going to be easily the champion unless something dramatic happens. But if you're bringing all those other factors, it changes the game completely. It shifts the ground up, and then it could really change how this championship battle will unfold. And especially at a driver's perspective, it is torturous. It is very, very agonizing to count those laps down, continue to run each and every lap, and all of a sudden you're still worrying about whether yellow's going to come out. You're still worrying about what's going to happen that's still out of your control on the racetrack, and you're just hoping and praying to the gods and to the racing gods that nothing will happen on your way, especially in a championship scenario. Right now, that gap went from half a second to about 1.5. So about 1 second, a gap between Parker White and Cole Williams throughout that run with just 12 laps to go. Jack DeAndre, though, has slowly caught up to that 42. It's been a quiet run for that number 28, but it's been a worthy effort nonetheless. For Meteor Racing, of course, Cole Williams, Aiden Kirker, Jack DeAndre, Josh Duke, all of them being Meteor Racing drivers, and Jack DeAndre, of course, not running for the championship, but is just one of those drivers running for just to run. And that 28 has already racked up some wins, already an official at Homestead. I saw him win A-Fix a couple of times at the Homestead Miami Speedway, so he knows a thing or two about capturing the dub. And right now, he's slowly reeling in that second-place driver right now, Francisco.
Yeah, and that could be very flustering to Cole Williams, knowing that the 95 is getting away from him in the car behind, who isn't a championship contender, is catching you, because you're going to have to race him for position. The 28 realized that the 42 isn't exactly on the 95's bumper, so he'll probably race him a little bit harder versus if they were back side by side with one another. He wants this second position because he's racing for his own self. And another note, Dylan Basin has disconnected, so we have lost another driver here tonight.
Unfortunate to see Dylan Basin, who was having such a good run before that incident earlier in this race, kind of set him back completely. But, I mean, going to that, back to that, remember, these two are teammates. Regardless of whether that 28 is not running for a championship, whether that 42 is, and even though it still stretches in the championship battle because Cole Williams and Aiden Kirker are both teammates respectively, but that 28 is teammates with the 42, so you think probably, at least in this scenario, he's probably going to try and help, stay behind him, maybe help his situation out should there be yellow, but maybe sometimes that 42 maybe just a little bit slower. That 28 is going to have no other option but to just go by. And it just depends on what's going to happen between the team. Of course, these drivers are in communication with each other. So, obviously, that does help when it comes to knowing what they're going to do, knowing what the teammates are going to do specifically on the track, what their intentions are, and what they plan to do, especially going through this race. But right now for Cole Williams, time is running out. We're getting to 9 laps to go here at the line. Coming 8 laps to go here from Homestead. Parker White still in control by 2.3 seconds at the line.
You know, looking at the time gaps every single time by the start-finish line, it might be that Cole Williams may be saving just a little bit of fuel. I mean, with the way he's been losing time, I don't think that's natural. I mean, you see Jack Yendra goes by there, nothing to lose for him. Cole Williams might be actually trying to save some fuel. I mean, I've mentioned it a couple times throughout the run. When they restarted, there was well over 55 laps to go, and when they pitted, it was almost 60. So it's a stretch for some of these guys, and we've seen Brady Wildman really back up the gap. I mean, he's about 14 seconds off the lead, so maybe that's part of the strategy. Maybe he is trying to save fuel and guarantee himself running to the finish. We don't know if these guys are going to run out or not. That's going to happen in the next within the next 5 to 10 laps. I mean, we have 8 laps to go in the race, so we still have no idea if they will make it, if they won't. But with the way that Williams is dropping back to the race leader, it tells me that he is saving fuel. I just wouldn't expect them to be losing this much time at this point in the race if it wasn't to save fuel. So we have an interesting dilemma here in the last couple laps. We'll have to see what happens.
Just taking air with Cole Williams as he's riding around the racetrack, entering 1 and 2 on lap number 79. There's right behind that yellow and black Chevrolet Camaro. That is indeed Jack D'Angelo. Was trying to look for any sort of maybe a flip of the switch to the engine. Just letting off from the throttle. Maybe the tires aren't really grabbing the way he wants to. You see him just trying to put in the throttle. Maybe he's just not saving fuel. Maybe he's just trying to save as much as he can, especially as the tires went out. That car will want to give a little kiss to the outside wall at some points, and that's usually not the best situation you want right now. But currently the gap has grown between Jack D'Andrea and Parker White. It was about 2.3 seconds to Cole Williams, and now all of a sudden that Jack D'Angelo has gone by. It's now grown by another second. So 3.337 last time around. The gap between the 95 and the 28. As Parker White just trying to hold on for 5 more laps before he can be crowned an LWRC NASCAR champion for this inaugural season. Currently in a comfortable position here with 5 laps to go.
5 laps to go left on the season, and we still don't know if it's guaranteed or not, because, you know, as we know, it's never over until the flag's waving. And right now he's just hoping to reach the white flag, because he knows if he can get to that white flag, that race is over. He'll win if he gets to the white flag, but until then he's just hoping there's no yellow flags. A yellow flag is exactly what everybody else but that 95 is wishing for. We see Aiden Kirker there running in the third position in the championship. Brady Wildman over half a track behind Parker White. So right now, the running order in the championship is the 95, the 42, the 39, and the 51 with 4 laps to go. And the gap is increasing. Parker White has not let up whatsoever. He's just continuing to build the gap, and he may have enough here. Well, he probably wouldn't be pushing this much if he didn't think he'd have enough. So we'll just check in and see what happens. But I'm pretty sure, if there's no cautions, this 95 is going to come home to win the championship.
Yeah, there's been no signs of saving fuel in that terms, Francisco, especially through this run. So at least that tells me that these guys are good all the way to the end. Ever since they pitted with 58 laps to go, they were already secured to the end. The fuel run and the fuel window was just too long to reach to the end of this race. So at least we won't have a situation when it comes down to fuel, any drivers running out. So that could throw the situation out the window that Cole Williams was just saving fuel down that stretch, especially when it comes late into this race. But as we're coming off turn number 4 for 2 more times, it'll be 3 miles to go for Parker White, 2 laps to go at the stripe. And right now, looking for 3 wins in a row and a championship. And what a season so far that 95 has had. Joined straight dead in the middle of the season. And in his first start, his debut race in this series, took the victory. But we got a caution with 2 laps to go.
Wow.
Josh Duke is the reason for the yellow. And as it looked like Parker White was going to have the smooth run to the finish, it's now just flipped on its head, as we're going to have a green-white checkered attempt coming up. We'll look at just what might have been the cause of the yellow flag. It surely was that number 32 of Josh Duke.
Wow, championship implications. You see, he got the wall. He already had some damage. Wow, this is insane. We thought we were in for the finish, and with 2 laps to go, caution comes out. You see, he got loose and tags the wall and wasn't able to hang on there. And when he gets back onto the racetrack right there, oof, that was close for Jaden Lawson. But when he got back on the racetrack that way from the grass, that's what triggered the caution on iRacing. So, wow, that just turned this race on its head.
We'll just look. I'm not sure whether he thought he was going to lose the car. Swerved the car to the right, went into the outside wall, and look at that, just trying to slow down the car. Just that was the reason why the caution was waived. Spinning in the middle of the track, and then of course stopping, coming to almost a dead silent stop on the track. And that is a run for the green-white checkered, as everyone's down pit road. Fresh tires are at stake here. And I did say anything could have changed this on its head completely. All 4 championship drivers on pit road.
Will we see some strategy? Will we see mistakes on pit road? We don't know. They're in their boxes. We'll have to see what happens here. And we've talked about this in the pre-race. What are you willing to do for a championship on this restart? Who's willing to push each other to try and get that lead? You see Jack D'Angelo spinning the tires, getting out. And Cole Williams is going to take the lead from Parker White off pit road.
Off pit road, the strategy works. Cole Williams will take the lead and the championship lead. He'll be the leader on the next restart on the green-white checkered. Parker White will follow through to second. Jack D'Angelo, who was sitting third before the caution flag. Actually, no, he was second. He was now sitting third. Kirker fourth. Weileman fifth. So only Jack D'Angelo splitting all 4 of the championship contenders. And we have a fight to the end. It's not over till it's over, Francisco. Definitely not over whatsoever.
Yep. We'll have a green-white checkered, 2 laps to go unless they have another yellow before the white flag. And, you know, we talked about it. We've said it's not over till it's over. It looked as though there was no signs of a caution potentially coming out, and Parker was just going to cruise away to a championship, but not so fast. The caution comes out. Cole Williams takes the lead on pit road and will restart as the race leader and the championship leader, with Parker White in second, Jack D'Angelo third, Aiden Kirker is in fourth, and Brady Weileman in fifth. So 4 of the championship contenders are in the top 5. I hate to be Jack D'Angelo on this restart.
I hate to be Parker White on this restart. Was leading by 4 seconds, clear as day, through the front of this field. All of a sudden, that yellow comes out just as he was going to wrap around to the white flag. I think that's probably the worst part about this. I think that's the driver in the worst emotions at the moment through this restart. But think about this, Francisco. Last time we were at a 1.5 miler. We ended in a green-white checkered, and it came down to fresh tires that prevailed at the end of this race. The most recent race where that has happened was Kansas a couple of weeks back. Winner of that race was Cole Williams.
Yep. Cole Williams ended up winning that race, and that was a fantastic finish. And we saw much of the contenders that we're seeing up here now. It was Brady Weileman, Parker White, and Cole Williams that were battling for that win. Aiden Kirker was up there until a last lap issue in turn 1, but the championship contenders were up front in that race, and we're seeing deja vu here, though. Throw in Jack D'Angelo into that 3rd spot, and you basically have the same drivers contending for the win. So we're looking at 2 laps to go here. Green-white checkered, standard practice for NASCAR. When we go past the advertised distance, we have 2 extra laps to determine a winner. And if a caution comes out before the white flag, we'll rack them up and do it again. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't make it back to the white flag, but we just never know. That's why we're here. We're gonna bring it to everybody, and we'll see. The topic of who's willing to do what it takes to win a championship. What is Parker White willing to do to get back by the 42? What is Brady Weileman willing to do to win a championship? What is Aiden Kirker willing to do to win a championship? And of course, what is Cole Williams willing to do to defend everybody from getting by him? It's gloves on, helmet on, and you better hold on to that seatbelt because it's gonna get wild here.
Reverberating off what you said, Francisco, 3 attempts at a green-white checkered. If we don't make it to the white flag on this attempt, we'll re-rack them up. Try it one more time. We'll go all the way up to 3 until we'll freeze the field and call this one official. If we do get to the white flag, the race will be over. We'll get to the checkered flag. We'll crown a winner and an LWRC NASCAR Cup Series champion. Who will it be? Off turn 4, restart on lap number, I guess, 50 or 80. 85, whatever. Green flag with 3 laps to go on a green-white checkered restart. All 3 championship contenders in the top 3.
The big 3 are in the top 3. See, Jack D'Andrea didn't get that great of a start. He's going to let them by. Brady Weileman, unfortunately, was stuck behind him. You see him further back. But Parker White clear into that 2nd position. Aiden Kirker in 3rd, waiting in the wings. We are coming around to the white flag. Who is willing to make a move? You see Parker White kind of had to back off there a little bit off Cole Williams. Aiden Kirker right behind him. White flag in the air. One more lap around from Homestead.
One more time around to decide a champion. Parker White's going to try the dive to the bottom in turn number 1 for one final time. Going to try over in 3 and 4. Not enough to look to the inside. He'll try one more time. Here come the 2 Toyota Camrys and the Chevrolet Camaro behind. What will Parker White do? What will Aiden Kirker do to try and get by? Down into 3 and 4 for the final time. Parker White's going to make contact as they're loose off of turn number 4. They save it. Contact off of the final corner. Who will it be? Kirker looking for the lead. Aiden Kirker is an LWRC NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Wow.
Unbelievable finish.
Wow.
Can you believe it? After 2 incidents in the first segment of this race, takes advantage of the 2 leaders wrecking at the line and wins a title for Eel Media Racing.
Wow.
There's Charlie Byer to celebrate, team owner. Cole Williams, heartbreak at the reins for both Williams and Parker White. I've lost my cool there. That was an unbelievable finish.
Oh my
Probably
gosh.
one of the wildest calls I've ever had. But Aiden Kirker is going to win. He's going to go down to the front straightaway, burn it down along the virtual fans down in the front straightaway. This deserves a replay for sure. There is no reason why. We cannot look at this one more time. And look at this. And what an unbelievable run. And guess who finished second? Brady Weileman finishes in 2nd place after those 2 collided. Look at this. Parker White dives to the bottom, slides up the track. It looked to be over, but then... Oh,
wow.
That's hard to judge.
Wow. But let's look at that final lap in its entirety once again. That was an exhilarating final lap. You saw in turn 1, or off of turn 4 to begin the white flag. You see Parker White had a good run. Cole Williams trying to break the draft. And Aiden Kirker hanging in the wings. Parker went for the move in turn 1 and tried his best to stay off that 42. It was all the way on the bottom of the racetrack. There's not that much grip, but he found a little bit of grip right there and was able to hang with him. You see, they're trying to break the draft. Cole trying to give him that outside. He does not want him to get to the inside. Parker goes there anyway, hoping for a last-second chance. This is for the championship. They make contact. Cole saves it, and then contact there with Kirker sends them into Cole again. And then you see just a wreck there. And that takes out Parker White and Cole Williams from any chance at the championship. And it gave Aiden Kirker the most perfect opportunity to go back by them. And Brady Weileman in 2nd. So... wow, you and I have just been treated to an exhilarating finish, but you have to feel for Parker White. You just have to feel for him.
Violent wreck off of turn number 4. But also, just look at the situation here. Just as we're looking here, we'll just look at a slow-mo video of what this was. You see Parker goes to the inside, and you see him just start to wash up the track. Here it looked like the 42 was going to go round. Luckily, he didn't. But here comes a 39, just nowhere to check up. And then pushes that 95 into the 42 again, which sent him around. Charlie Byer gets involved. Brady Weileman just slowly get by. Look at the huge hit to Jack D'Andrea. As the 39 crosses the line. celebrating still on the front straightaway with Zero Media Racing teammates. He is your champion in 2020 in this first season, the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, and what a finish. We'll take a look at your final results and unofficial results here from Homestead. Aiden Kirker, again, your champion this season, and your winner did say it was probably going to take a win in order to capture that title. Brady Weileman, championship contender, will come home second after the incident between Cole Williams and Parker White. Charlie Byer, KBRN Zone, will finish in the podium spot. We'll get an interview with him. Going to be good to talk to him through that. Cole Williams will finish fourth. Jaden Lawson, league owner, will scramble to fifth. Jack DeAndre will finish sixth across the line. Parker White, seventh. Josh Duke, 7 laps down, cause of that last yellow in eighth. Dylan Basin disconnected from this race, finishing ninth. And Sartaj Mong going to be the final drivers in this race. Boy, we're going to take a moment to really calm ourselves down, get ourselves cooled, and get to the ceremonies and the championship presentation to Aiden Kirker. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back after this short messages. You're watching the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series from Homestead, Miami Speedway, right here with coverage on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back to the Homestead Miami Speedway, where we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage, brought to you by SDC. And boy, we have a lot of things to cover. Francisco, to the final lap. Pretty much this entire race, from green flag to the checkered flag, from all the way from that long green flag run to the cautions early in the race, to the caution late in the race, and that green-white checker that ultimately decided the champion, Aiden Kirker. We'll bring ourselves down to the front stretch, and we'll get everything set up. And first of all, of course, we will bring in our league owner, Jaden Lawson, and of course, we'll bring in our champion, Aiden Kirker, as Jaden Lawson, league owner, will present the champion for this season.
Sorry, I just got back. What I see that I'm in the commentator's booth.
Yes, we are presenting the champion, Jaden.
Okay, so on behalf of the LWRC and all the officials and everybody, I'd like to congratulate Aiden Kirker on being the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Thank you, Jaden. Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. This is crazy. I don't know what to say. This is a rough race. Unfortunately, we got taken out twice by the eights. Because of the 8 car, and towards the end, Parker had it. He had it done, and I feel terrible for him. That late caution, and it sucks because he's a deserving champion. But I mean, it went our way. It definitely went our way. This is one of the few times late in the season that a race is going our way perfect, and I figured they were probably going to make contact in the last corner. Cole and Parker were, and just barely snuck through. I got tagged by Cole, and I got really scared I was going to get caught up into the wall, but luckily we crossed the line, and we're the LWRC champions. Just insane. This is actually 1 year to this day. 365 days ago, I was taking my first laps on iRacing, and 365 days later, and I won my first iRacing championship at some way, shape, or form. A lot of work went into this. A lot of good races, a lot of tough races since I believe May. I just want to really thank my whole team, EMR, Cole Williams. He's been a very close friend of mine this entire season. We worked really well together. Charlie Byer for bringing me on to EMR, and everybody, my teammates, like Commerford, co-owner, obviously you, Kenneth, administrator. Shoot, I don't know what to say. I'm just really I didn't think this was gonna happen, but I'm so excited right now.
Aiden, first of all, of course, I know you're probably a lot more tense than we are up in the booth. Francisco and I were just unbelievably shocked at what happened there into 3 and 4, and the race for you was pretty much up and down for the most part. Obviously, you had that lap 1 incident where you were just trying to avoid Dylan Basin, and you went spinning, had a little bit of contact on the rear end with Jack D'Angelo. Of course, you went down pit road, good to fix that. All of a sudden, you get involved in another incident where Dylan Basin tags into you there off turn 4, and it looks like your championship hopes were kind of just in the midst of everything. You were just seeing Cole Williams up there in the front, Parker White up there in the front. You were just hanging around there. You were hanging around this 3rd, 4th, 5th place. You were just kind of skimping around. All of a sudden, everything changes with that final caution, that green-white checkered with you, Brady, obviously Jack D'Angelo spliced in the middle, Cole and Parker all the way that run in the championship and to the white flag, to the checkered flag. Of course, I know it was a lot to process. I know you probably weren't thinking at all in hindsight. You were just driving, just focusing on getting there to the finish and trying to get the most you can to be a champion. Just give us the best of your perspective, at least going into the final corners, and especially through that last restart, because I know for every driver it was definitely heart pumping.
Yeah, I just was trying to stay just right on the bumper of those two because I knew that there was probably going to be contact. I think Parker sensed it in a little too deep and caught the apron, shot up in the Cole, and then they almost came down the track. They actually did clip me, and my heart just stopped right there, and then I was able to save the car. I don't really know. This is super hectic final lap. Between two good drivers racing for the championship, and then just kind of that third wheel all season sneaks through and wins it. I don't know what to say. It's just my heart was pumping that entire final restart, and it still is. I just I still have no clue what to say. I'm just at a loss for words. Just really, really thankful right now.
And what has been a season full of memories for you, Aiden. Of course, a season that included some wins along the way. I remember we're watching your first win at Sonoma Raceway and picking up even more wins. I remember your win over at Indy. And of course, pre-race, we were really just talking about every moment in this season and just how memorable it was for each and every driver. Obviously the wins, obviously the chaotic finishes, everything that's gone on. The hilarious finish at Sonoma there with Dylan Basin and Brady Wyman. All the moments that have captured in this season, especially with us covering on KBRN. What, other than, obviously this championship has capped off just a phenomenal season for not only you, but for obviously the championship for contenders and a lot of other drivers. just walk us through at least what the memorable parts of this season were that led up to this point in this championship.
Just being able to be out there and racing my friends. That's all. I know that, especially me, Cole, we've improved so much since the season. Brady, his improvement has been phenomenal. Parker joined about halfway through, started tearing it up. I mean, just there's been so much improvements throughout the field this season. A lot of drivers getting better, a lot of drivers with a lot of potential moving down the road to get more championships, more official wins, and possibly even a chance at the Coke Series or something like that. It's been a really insane season, and I'm just glad that I can enjoy it with all the other drivers that raced with me and have a smile on my face.
Well, Aiden, I know this championship means a lot, and I know that, of course, celebration is mandatory at this point. I know whatever form of celebration you're going to have for this title, it's definitely going to mean a lot for you. Before we definitely let you go celebrate, hold this trophy high, and I guess do whatever you want to do, celebrate with your team at Homestead Miami Speedway. Just walk us through all the people you want to thank, everybody you want to thank, any team sponsors, anybody else you just like to give the love and shout outs to here for tonight in this championship.
Yeah, of course, like I said before, I want to thank EMR. I'm so thankful to be a part of that team. All our sponsors, Appella Gaming, Z's Custom Diecast, Stealth Energy. I want to thank all my friends I've made in the sim race community in the 1 year I've been a part of it. And especially want to thank my parents. They support me so much in this silly little hobby I have of sim racing. And I think they're more competitive at it than me. They, want to give me the best equipment, best chance I can get at being able to win these championships and races. And we ain't done yet. We're gonna go get some more, and maybe make a run at another LWRC championship next season.
Certainly looking forward to next season, looking forward to our condensed schedule, 16 races next time. But for right now, Aiden, you are an LWRC NASCAR Cup Series champion in this inaugural season. Of course, congratulations on your phenomenal season, your phenomenal run to this round, and of course, your championship here in this season. Congratulations from all of us at the KBueno Racing Network. What a run to the finish, and what an illustrious season. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, guys.
Aiden Kirker, your champion for the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series in this season. And before we actually get to the rest of these championship four, we're actually going to take a look with all the other drivers who finished before. We're going to look at our top three, but two of those top three are championship contenders. So we'll look to a driver that was not running for this championship, but ran here at Homestead, finished third either way. That is KBRN's Charlie Byer, who's trackside with Francisco Bacallao.
Charlie, this is Francisco in the KBRN booth. You got me?
Yeah.
It was a relatively quiet race for you, but you were running in the top 5. You were on a different pit strategy, and that late yellow came out, and it gave you an opportunity to race for the win there, and you were able to come away with a P3 finish. How can you describe your race?
Well, the finish was a surprise. I definitely would have finished there if it went green to the end, but the yellow came out and it put us in a good spot to make up a couple of positions, and we were able to finish there. So I mean, surprise, hello.
One of your drivers was able to come away with not only just the race win, but a championship. How does that feel, being an owner as a champion?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. We put in a lot of work to each and every weekend, in any league that we're in, and I'm really proud of really everyone who's involved in the organization that I've put together, and all the work that we put into it. And we still would have finished second and third, despite the yellow coming out. And I'm still proud of that run. I'm so proud that we made it this far, and I'm just proud of what the team that I put together. And sometimes you get lucky, and today we had our fair share of luck, and that gave us the championship. So I'm really happy for Aiden.
Yeah, you had a great race, a great result for yourself, and obviously you're now an owner champion, so that must feel really good to be an owner champion. And the last thing I'm going to ask is, who do you want to give a shout out to? Who do you want to thank in terms of sponsorships? Any people you want to thank for not only helping yourself with the P3 finish, but helping this championship be possible as an owner?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who drives for me at EL Media Racing. Once again, I'm really proud of the group of people that we're working with here. All the effort that we've been putting in has been paying off in pretty much every league that we participate in. So we're doing really good, and it's only upward from here. But I just want to thank our sponsors: Appella Gaming, Stealth Energy, SDC, Z's Custom Diecast, KBRN, you guys for broadcasting, and yeah, that's really it.
Thank you for taking the time with us, Charlie, and we hope you enjoy this this owners championship right here.
Thank you, guys.
That is Charlie Byer finishing in the podium spot. P3 was a non-playoff driver, but nonetheless, of course, should be happy that his team as an owner is a champion in this season. Did have a 50% shot at winning the title, Francisco, with Cole Williams and Andy Kirker, those two rounding out 2 of the 4 championship contenders. We're looking to our third finisher and actually the second place driver in the championship points after tonight. That is the number 51 of Brady Weileman. We'll bring him in and see his thoughts about tonight's race. And Brady, first of all, I think a race that really was kind of just relaxed for you at this moment. You were kind of hanging in the back, and that is what you said before we got to this race, and you talked in the pre-race interview. You said hanging in the back was really going to be your key, and of course tire saving was going to be key to the end of this race. You had a shot up front. You did fall back a little bit, but all of a sudden you have that final green-white checker to give you an extra shot and running for that title. Just tell us what really was your experience there behind the wheel, and did you feel, was there anything you could have done to really catch up to these other 3 and put yourself in a better spot to be in front of Aiden Kirker at the finish line?
I don't think there's really anything that I could have done to help me get up there, but yeah, it just reminded me so much of the Auto Club finish that we had like earlier in the season when they were all wrecking, and I thought I was gonna have a chance because I saw Cole hit Aiden and it got him loose, and I was like, oh my god, there's no way this is gonna happen. And then I'm just happy that Aiden won it, to be honest, because I don't know if he talked about this, but it's his 1-year anniversary on iRacing, so I'm happy that he won. But I don't think there's anything I could have really done to help myself get back up there with him.
And of course, what has been a phenomenal season nonetheless for you in that 51 team. Of course, only 1 win to rack up to this season, but that win and all the points you guys carried really thrusted you guys through these playoffs, put you in every single round. Of course, obviously that compelling battle between you and Josh Duke at Bristol, and that sets you into the advancement into this championship 4. Just give us your thoughts about this entire season, as from Daytona all the way here to Homestead Miami Speedway, and everything that you've been through to run to this championship, and what really could you take away, at least from this season, that will help you going into next season once we have a shorter schedule?
I think all the help I've gotten through the season, especially with Aiden, Cole, Parker, they've all helped me so much. I can't thank them enough. Yeah, beginning of the season, I started on a laptop, and then I didn't even have Las Vegas then, and then Phoenix, my brake wasn't working, so our season didn't really go off to a strong start. But after that, until I got my win at Talladega, things started to turn around for me, and I started getting a lot better, and running up them with them for a little bit at least was fun throughout the season.
All right, Brady. Well, nonetheless, phenomenal run to this championship, and of course, a valiant effort puts you at the end here at the line, second in the championship standings. So which people do you have to thank? Any teams, sponsors, or really anyone you just like to give the shout outs to that helped you with this championship run all the way here and this finish here tonight?
First off, I want to thank Jalen Lawson for the amazing league he put on. I've had a lot of fun, and I think I've improved through the season. I want to thank my sponsor Bodega, owned by Kyle Durbin, and that's pretty much it.
Well, Brady, we certainly appreciate the time, and of course, we thank you for being a part of this entire season, giving us all the great memories. I know Talladega was surely a fun one to watch, and you being on top there, and seeing your emotions after that first win, and pretty much all the other moments in this season. Of course, congratulations on your run in the championship 4. Unfortunately, just short of the title, but you made a hell of an effort to be there. So we thank you for all the memories you've made, and of course, thank you for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, and thank you for the broadcast.
That is Brady Weileman, second place finisher in the standings for the championship, finishing in second right behind Aiden Kirker. Here tonight, we're going to look at our third place championship standing contender. That is the number 42 of Cole Williams, who had that glimpse of the front straightaway and that start-finish line all the way off turn 4 for that incident sent him to finish in 4th, just short of the title. He is trackside with Francisco Bacallao.
Cole Williams, this is Francisco in the KBRN booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Before any talk about what happened in the end, let's talk about the start of the race. You had one of the fastest cars early. You were battling with Parker for most of the race. You had some great battles. What can you talk about the car and how the race was progressing for you for those first 70-some-odd laps?
Yeah, it was fun at the start. I think this track, we showed, I talked before in my previous interview that, this track can really produce some good racing, of course. And, eventually you can make those passes on the bottom if you, just play your cards right. And, we're having a good battle and, it was just fun. And then on lap 22, I'm just coming off a 4 and dude just like comes off the wall and gives me like 20 seconds of optional for no reason. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that's why I had to restart at the back at the caution. And that's eventually why he pulled out to a 3-second lead in the first place, was because I had to burn my tires up, having to start at the back to repair my damage that I was given on lap 22 of 85 for no reason. I've been watching it back. He just comes off the wall for no reason off of 4 and doors me, and that's going to be, in these cars, an ouch for sure, because 20 seconds is optional. And you can't repair it all. So that was some aero damage that I had to deal with throughout the rest of the race, even though I got most of it repaired. And having to burn my right front and right rear off to even get close to, and then of course having to battle Brady, so even having to get even close to up front. So that's why he even had that lead in the first place at the end. I know you want to talk about the start, but this is very infuriating for what happened. But that's why he had that lead, is because of the damage he gave me early on.
All right, and a late caution due to Josh Duke getting into the wall. Set up a green-white checkered as Parker White was coming to the white flag. You had a great pit stop and were able to come out in the lead. I'm sure you've had a couple of looks back on that restart. What do you think you could have possibly done differently to have a different result?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I have a lead. I got a great jump. Just with this package, they have such a big arrow wake. They just pull right up to you, and then I guess I could have left him more space, because maybe I could have cleared him before he turned right. I don't know, but I guess there's not much more you can do when the guy's underneath you. It looks like you just hit the apron, but he knows how to make things look bad. I never thought that something like this would even happen in a league race like this. But yeah, I don't know. It could have been much different to prevent a contact that wasn't even my fault. Of course, the caution came out. It looks bad. They won't listen to you, though. I'm looking at general chat. It's just flooded with saying how he wrecked intentionally. His car was bent way off to the right, 90 degrees to the right. Yeah, it wasn't smart to be out there with that much damage. But nonetheless, his car was bent, tried to exit the corner, hit the wall. And then, he tried to keep it down there and tried to keep it off the racing surface, of course. And then the caution is thrown. I just don't know why there's any warrant to wreck, because even when the caution came out, I was saying in my chat, all right, well, I don't want to win like this. I would hate to win like that. So I'm just going to send him most of the winnings. And obviously, if he doesn't win the race, that he misses out on the field and winning the race. But at least he gets the winnings, which, in all honesty, that's probably what everyone cares about, right? Is the winnings. You can buy other things on iRacing or whatever, or you can just have for other things. And for some reason, he just like threw that away, because I was just going to give him, basically all that and let him have the credits for the championship, because that's not right for him losing a championship that way. But that's also not right for wrecking me like that. That's uncalled for. But of course, congrats to Aiden, my guy. All the way from the start of the season, we were racing, having fun and just racing, all the time, having these great battles, and it was just fun all season long. And of course, he did what he had to do to stay low and miss the wreck. I thought for a second I was going to accidentally hook him, and then Brady or someone was going to emerge as the champion off a corner, but he saved, of course. And then he just cruised to the line after I was wrecked for the championship. So I mean, yeah, it was fun. I think what people are missing is that damage. This happened at Bristol too, where I got a speeding penalty. That wasn't my bad, but this time it was not my bad when I had to go to the back, basically. In hindsight, should have used the fast repair, yeah, but at the end of the day, no one's going to do that 20 laps into a race or whatever, to use a fast repair like that to repair any damage, and stay up front, because I would have, most likely restarted in the lead instead of an 8th. So therefore, I don't have to burn my tires up to get there. And then therefore we can actually have a good battle instead of him having 2.5, 3 second lead. But I guess we'll just never understand that part of it, because I'm sure, you know, it was very slight contact, but 20 seconds optional and some permanent. That'll do a lot, and mainly track position loss. That'll do a lot to your tires when you have to get someone. So you know, he spent a lot of time all season long having fun, and then it comes down to this. I never wanted it to come like that. I wish it could have just stayed. I wish the contact on lap 22 didn't happen. And if that had to happen, then I wish it just stayed green, no controversy. He gets the championship. I finished second. But nonetheless, it was still a fun ride until the final few laps. You know, and congrats again, once I said, to Aiden on the championship.
Yeah, and noting the disappointment there, we feel for you. But it was a great season by you. You've made all the races, and you've gotten multiple wins. It was a fantastic season. So, who do you want to give credit to? Any sponsors, teammates, anybody in particular you want to help thank for putting this entire season together, for getting this close to being a championship contender?
Yeah, I just want to thank Yamario Media Racing, of course, once again. Obviously, Aiden, you know, teammate, for pulling out the championship and not letting anyone else win that. And then just want to thank the sponsors, of course, Pella Gaming, Z's Custom Diecast, and Stealth Energy. And you know, unfortunately, I couldn't bring it home, but at least another one of the cars was able to bring it home. I just want to shout out to you guys, especially Kenneth, for putting this broadcast on the entire season long, and you know, just keeping, you know, the broadcast for most of the races when you could. That definitely made the season fun. Want to thank Jaden for putting this on, like always. And you know, when there was adversity, he of course fought through it, and of course the officials and the helper team, which I'm on, have put together a great season at this point. And yeah.
A disappointing end, but I'm glad you took the time with us, and we wish you luck next season, Cole. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco.
You noted the dejected in his voice, and we feel bad for him, but it'll be a P4 finish and third in the championship for Cole Williams.
Well, unfortunately, we do not have any sort of leeway to get over to Parker White. Unfortunately, he was in the waiting room, I believe, just a little bit earlier, but now he's decided to exit. I guess maybe he wasn't anticipating an interview, but nonetheless, Parker White will finish in the final part of the standings. Just a heartbreaking effort. I mean, leading that charge, dominating this race, and I said it time and time again throughout this race, that any little thing, any caution, any pitch strategy, any sort of little thing can change the dynamic of the game completely, and it has really shown that here at Homestead Miami Speedway, where we have crowned a champion, and unfortunately, Parker White comes short of a title here at Homestead. Nonetheless, though, a phenomenal season for each and every driver, Francisco. I mean, coming up to and reflecting on what this season has been. I mean, you go to Aiden Kirker, a couple wins in this season, put him on the top, a very consistent driver. Cole Williams also the same, racking up wins, very consistent driver. Parker White emerging in the middle of this season, very consistent driver and a strong driver at that. And then, of course, you have Brady Wildman, who was also maintaining his consistency and his strong pursuits. And that's exactly why he was here in this Championship 4. That's why every single driver was in this Championship 4. And now we just wait until the next season. But for now, Aiden Kirker is your champion.
Yeah, congratulations to him and his team for being able to get the job done. Ultimately, regardless of what happened, it was him that crossed the line first. So he gets the championship, he gets the prize earnings, and he'll get to carry that name associated with him as champion through the entire offseason until we restart again, and it'll be time to defend it. I'm glad we were able to be here, you and I, to watch the season, and you know, these playoffs have been spectacular. We've seen some great racing and great battles along the way, and you know, you hate to see it end that way. You can sense the dejectedness in Cole Williams' voice when in that interview, and unfortunately we weren't able to get one with Parker, understandably too. But that's what it means to win a championship. You're willing to give it your all, and you know, you don't want to see somebody just not do anything when it comes to a championship. So I don't fault anybody for what they did. It was championship racing. You always get asked what are you willing to do, and you never know until you're in the position, and you can't really fault anybody for what happened. So it was a great season. You know, we've been able to put on a couple races here. You and I, at least in the playoffs, you and Charlie took care for most of the regular season, and you know, I'm excited to see what we have in store for next season.
Well, Well, what a season we've had in its entirety ever since we dropped the green flag at Daytona International Speedway and went all the way here to this championship 4 round. What a season, what a run all the way through. And of course, can't thank Jaden Lawson enough for bringing the support to this series and of course making each and every race happen each and every week, accommodating for each and every driver and making sure that we get the best of the best here every single week in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series. And for all the drivers that made their way into this series, for drivers that have gone by, from even Jack Belsha, our winner in the Daytona 500, all of the drivers that we've had that have gone by, and all the drivers that have maintained themselves through the final parts of this season, we thank you very much for putting all the memories out on track, and of course bringing the best of the best for us to call up in the booth. For Aiden Kirker, your winner and the champion here the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, and of course you, the viewer, everybody watching the stream, everybody who tuned in for each and every race of the season, whether you tuned in from the first race or whether you're just tuning in tonight, we thank you and appreciate the support entirely, and we look forward to seeing you being a part of more of the KBRN action as we continue to cover more leagues and hopefully continue to run from the LWRC Cup Series from here on out. That'll do it here for the broadcast from the virtual Homestead of Miami Speedway. Once again, congratulations to Aiden Kirker, your champion in this inaugural season. And for all of us on behalf of the KBueno Racing Network, for everybody that makes these things happen, for Charlie Byer for being with me throughout most of this season, and of course to Francisco Bacallao alongside me in the booth for being here in this final stint, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying good night from the Magic City. We'll see you coming to Daytona.